Good afternoon. After Sukkot, we find ourselves with a number of items around the house that we need to dispose of, but sometimes we don't know how to. The Gemara, for example, the Minim and the Schach, if we're not going to save it for the following year. And the Gemara differentiates between what's called Tashmishe Mitzvah and Tashmishe Kedusha. Tashmishe Mitzvah are items which are used for a mitzvah but have no Kedusha inherently. Sukkah, lulav, shofar, tzitzis are all considered to be Tashmishe Mitzvah. However, Tashmishe Kedusha are things which help contain an item of Kedusha. So, for example, a mezuzah and Sefer Torah and tefillin are all considered items of Kedusha. So those covers or the straps of the tefillin, the Torah covers, the covers of mezuzahs are all items which are called Tashmishe Kedusha, which help serve, so to speak, the items of Kedusha. Those, the Gemara says, need to be buried. However, Tashmishe Mitzvah, Sukkah, lulav, shofar, and tzitzis, and the like, in fact, could be nizrak, could be thrown out once we are done with them. And that is actually how Shulchan Aruch rules, that chutei tzitzis shenifseku yachul lizarkim la'ashba. The Shulchan Aruch rules that strings of tzitzis that broke off, you can throw them in garbage. Because there's no inherent kedusha. About kols machim kavum b'taz, as long as you're still using them, then that would be a problem. But once I'm done with them, then I could throw them out. However, there are Ramah quotes a chumrah that the omer the afla achar shenifseku, that even after they broke off, or any tashmishe mitzvah, shofar, sukkah, or lulav, which after you're done using it, still the Ramah writes ein linhog bohen minhog bizayon lezorkem b'makom nguna. One should not treat them in a disgraceful manner to just throw them in a gross place. You shouldn't throw it in a public dumpster in a garbage can. Just they don't need geniza. They don't need to be buried, but they should be disposed of in a respectful manner, in recycling perhaps, or something similar. The yesh medaktikin legonzan. However, some, says the Ramah, are specifically careful to actually bury them. The machmir medaktik mitzvos tavol bracha. He says that if one wants to be machmir, then tavol bracha, they should receive much bracha. However, says the Ramah, we don't need to necessarily bury them, but we should be careful not to dispose of them in a gross, inappropriate manner. And the Mishnah Berurah writes that from the Pri Megadim, that it's nachon shalol la'asos tashmish meguna afilu b'tfanos sukkah, even in the walls of the sukkah, not only the schach, but even the walls. So, however, the Mishnah Berurah does quote that perhaps what it means not to throw them into the garbage, into this, that is biyadayim, with our hands, that we shouldn't dispose of them into the garbage. However, if we happen to leave them around, we happen to be taken and thrown out in the garbage, okay, no problem. But again, the Ramah, we said, is machmir to treat them with more caution, and therefore that seems to be the general minhag. And if one wants to be particularly careful, the Mishnah Berurah does quote a practice from the Maharil that one should go ahead and use these items for another mitzvah. That since you use it for one mitzvah, go ahead and use another. So that's where the practice comes from, where some actually take the lulav and save it for Pesach to be burned in the fire of biur chometz, right? Or where some take the esrog and use it as besamim. Because of, like Mariel says, since it was used for one mitzvah, it could be used for another mitzvah. The Mishnah Berurah also points out that one should not place schach in a place where people may trample, even if it's not in the garbage itself. So again, the idea is, strictly speaking, one could actually dispose of them. However, the Ramah, which we try to hold by, we should be cautious to treat it with proper respect, and ideally even use it for another mitzvah if possible. Have a fantastic day.